Sure. Here's the full YouTube story script for your video. Emotional, cinematic, and perfectly paced for your channel, tales and turns. An old woman was ridiculed at Jiu Jitsu class, then submit cold millionaire. CEO agreed to one last blind date. The girl who showed up changed his life forever. They laughed when she walked into the Jiu Jitsu gym. An old woman in her 60s, fragile, soft-spoken, and trembling slightly as she tied her white belt. No one knew her story, her pain, or the fire she carried within. But when the arrogant black belt challenged her as a joke, what happened next left the entire class frozen in disbelief. Before we dive into this powerful story of courage, redemption, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Tales and Turns for more stories that touch the heart and twist the soul. And tell us, where are you watching from? We love hearing from our amazing viewers all around the world. She entered quietly, her steps measured but firm. The Jiu Jitsu class was full of strong young men, their laughter echoing across the mats as they sparred and showed off techniques. When they noticed her, whispers began. She lost. One said, "Maybe she's looking for her grandson." Another joked. But the old woman simply smiled, bowed to the instructor, and said, "I'd like to train." Her voice was calm, but there was a depth to it. The kind of tone that silences noise without effort. The coach hesitated but decided to let her join, perhaps out of pity or curiosity. She bowed again, her movements slow but deliberate, every gesture disciplined. The class continued, but eyes kept darting toward her as she practiced basic drills. Awkwardly at first, yet with surprising precision. No one knew that 30 years ago, before arthritis and heartbreak crept into her life, she was once a regional champion. She had left the sport after a tragedy. Her husband, also a martial artist, had passed away in an accident, and she'd never stepped onto a mat again. Until today. The tension broke when a young black belt, full of pride and mischief, offered to help her practice. His smirk said it all. This was going to be entertainment. "Don't worry, Grandma," he said mockingly. "I'll go easy." The others chuckled, expecting her to decline, but she simply nodded and took her stance, her gaze unwavering. What followed was 10 seconds of absolute silence and shock. With a precise movement, calm as water, she deflected his grip, pivoted, and in one seamless motion, trapped him in a chokehold. The black belt tapped furiously. The room went still. No one laughed anymore. She released him gently, bowed, and said, "Control comes from respect. Without respect, you lose both." Her words cut deeper than the choke ever could. The instructor's expression shifted from disbelief to admiration. That day, she wasn't the old lady anymore. She was the embodiment of discipline, wisdom, and experience. The same students who mocked her now lined up to shake her hand, their faces red with shame and newfound respect. As the class ended, the coach asked her why she had returned after all these years. She looked at the mat, tears glimmering in her eyes. "This was where I lost myself and where I needed to find myself again." It wasn't just a comeback. It was a healing. Every move she practiced that day was a goodbye to grief, a hello to life again. Her body may have aged, but her spirit, the warrior within, had never stopped fighting. Word spread through the local martial arts community. Soon, people of all ages came to see the old woman who humbled a black belt in 10 seconds. She didn't boast, didn't gloat. Instead, she began teaching children, especially the ones who were shy, bullied, or broken. The same lessons her husband once taught her: that strength isn't in your muscles, but in your heart. That real power is quiet, patient, and kind. Months later, that same black belt approached her, no longer proud or mocking, but humble. He asked if she would teach him. She smiled softly, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said, "We all start again someday." That moment, teacher and student, old and young, ego and wisdom, became the soul of the academy. Her presence changed everything. Years later, when she could no longer train, her students carried on her teachings. The black belt she once defeated became her most loyal disciple, running the dojo with humility and honor. And every new student was told the same story of the old woman who walked in one day and reminded everyone what martial arts truly meant. Because in the end, life, like Jiu Jitsu, isn't about domination, it's about balance. And sometimes, the ones we underestimate most are the ones who teach us what strength really is. Closing line. Emotional outro. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tales and Turns, where every story reminds us that courage doesn't fade with age, and every twist brings us closer to who we truly are. Would you like me to write the second story, the CEO and blind date one, next in the same 2,000-word YouTube storytelling format for Tales and Turns?